a los que querría ir no están disponibles. Y te pones a bajarlo. Lo que puedes hacer es coger
Pero con esta sí que salimos los tres, ¿eh? Vale, pues esto está grabando ya.
ponte tú ahí.
Bueno, pues te parece empezamos con una...
Pues eso, verme o de lado mirándote aquí así, pues, para contarte las cosas un poco mirándote...
Como tú quieras.
Pues no sé si se me va a ver por eso, o sea, ya es un tema de encuadre. Te las cuento a ti, porque una cosa es contártelas
Sí,
así, que
hablamos...
se me vea de perfil, y otra cosa es contártelas enfrente y que se me vea de frente.
No, hablamos tú y yo, y se nos va a ver de perfil, sí,
vale.
O sea, sin problema. ¿Vale? Bueno, pues vamos a empezar directamente.
Venga, dale.
Mira, te voy a contar primero una historia que me pareció súper bonita. Hace unos años, en inglés, ¿no? Some years ago, I was asked to give a talk in Budapest about the future of education. This was some 5 years ago, and before entering in the session, I was traveling by myself, and I decided to take one of these touristic buses, in which you jump in the top of the bus and they take you a tour through the city. And on that tour, I learned the history of Budapest. And I understood that Buda and Pest were two different cities, and they were crossed by a river, a 500-meter river at the widest point that separates the two parts of the city. And I was magnified by the buildings and the history of the city. And I saw there was a castle there, and a beautiful castle. I went to visit the castle as well. It was part of the touristic trip. And there, the castle had undergone many transformations because there were so many attacks in the past. And I was looking at the castle, and because of my infancy, I was very frequently working at castles. My mother used to work as a researcher for traditional architecture and so on. And I loved the castles, and I loved the moats. Those spaces to protect, right, the castle. And in my imaginary, they will be full of dragons and crocodiles and so on. But this castle in Budapest actually did not have a moat. And my question was, where is the moat? How does this castle protect itself? And I learned that what they did when there was an invasion, they would just cross to the other side of the river and burn all of the bridges and burn all of the ships and just wait there until the occupier or the invader was just tired, right? And turn back. But then there was an invasion by the nephew of Genghis Khan, and he came with all of these forces, and once again they decided, after losing several battles, they decided to cross the river and to burn all of the bridges. But they figured they would be protected by the moat, the river, but that wasn't the case. What happened there is that just by means of waiting, these troops of Genghis Khan's nephew, they ended up invading and completely burning the whole city and occupying it. And the thing is that the moat, the river itself, froze in winter, and that thing that protected, supposedly, that moat that protected the city became the path for the disruption of the city. I use frequently these metaphors because I think that that's exactly what's happening very often. We trust on specific barriers of entry or competitive advantages that is actually where the disruption to a specific sector or activity ends up happening, right? And that's why we wanted to bring you to this conversation to try to understand what do you think are some modes in your sector or your activity that might no longer be relevant. And if you'll kindly first introduce yourself, that'd be amazing.
Well, super interesting story. I've been working in marketing and advertising for the last almost 20 years. And I've seen the evolution of in the digital business, in this business, creativity, media, advertising, marketing. And my role was scout for startups and technology and trends. So basically I was traveling around the world, basically, talking with these people that are generating these new business ideas, these new technologies, these new startups companies. And that is what I've been doing. Try to understand what is happening in the world the last 20 years and what is disruptive in many industries, but mainly in marketing and advertising. But the thing here is that when you start with this industry, you realize that companies like Google or Meta, They are their core business is the advertising, and they are some of the biggest companies in the world. You know that. Even Amazon also has a big structure in advertising. It's still in a lot of investment, only with the search box inside the marketplace. It's over 30 billion that is taken from Google. And now with this apparition of AI, it's changing again, advertising and creativity. So always I've been trying to understand what is happening with the technologies and what is the impact in many industries. Mainly marketing and advertising, but you can relate that this is common to many other industries.
Absolutely.
So, and also not only that, because you have to understand also that it's changing not only the business models and the world, it's changing the society and it's changing the education. I started with the social media. I was one of the first ones here in Spain to start to try to understand what was Facebook about and the business model and how to sell it to the clients and what was going on with that. That thing changed the world. Social networks, not only Facebook, many others now. But when you start to see that change and you work in this industry, you can understand that technology is so big that I don't know if we can comprehend the impact that is having in the business and the society. So working in this industry, you become a kind of specialist, a broad specialist, if I can say that, if you understand that term. Yeah. It's weird, but it's a broad specialist because you work with bank, investment, automotive, alcohol, any client. You become a kind of consultant of any industry. And you try to understand how the world is changing with society and technology. And that is what I've been doing the last years, trying to be a consultant for all these kind of companies, from startups to corporate companies, and also very linked to education because I love the teaching. I love the teaching.
So there's like a tripod here on consultancy and also on marketing and advertising and in education.
Yeah, that
so
is.
Maybe we can choose just one of those verticals and maybe try to think of one traditional mode that for that industry specifically work very well and no longer might be valuable right now.
So as I say, I've seen the evolution of this business, media. I've been working for huge global corporate companies in advertising, the Havas Media Group, IPG, Publicis. So there are 6 big groups in the world. I work for 3 of them. So now I'm freelance because I'm working as a freelance consultant. And in this evolution, the biggest change, one of the biggest change, to take one of many, creativity.
Creativity.
This mode, because if you're a client, you need big creative campaigns, right? Yeah, creative was a super value. It was a big mode. You have these creative teams, huge. It's something that not everybody can do, and all this thinking and the creative, the operational campaign around that was very difficult to achieve. So only big groups can do that for big clients. Now this changed totally.
This changes.
Of course.
I frequently say that AI acts as a magnifying lens, and some of the definitions, foundational definitions that we had, for example, the difference between imagination and creativity, now become much more obvious and important to emphasize. You're suggesting that creativity is solved with artificial intelligence. Is that the case?
Yeah, because artificial intelligence in creativity now is the big debate. In fact, I didn't say it, but one of the things that I do now is I have a venture with some associates, some partners, where we create events around the world that we talk about the impact of AI in the creative industries. I didn't say that.
Right.
I forgot.
That's right.
It's one of them. Yeah, very relevant. So we make debates around the world with about creative industries. We always present a super powerful case study of AI with the creator, and then we have a roundtable with lawyer experts, futurists, or technicians. So,
do you think this is a creative technology? This is a debate, right?
Well,
is this creative? Is it not?
I won't say that it's a creative technology itself. It's a technology for everything, basically, for everything.
Is it capable of creativity?
Yeah, totally. And now the debate, when I go to talk with all these people, it doesn't matter if it's China, South America, or North America, or Europe, there is always this debate that what makes a creator?
Okay.
Who is a creator? If you can create art or not with AI, if anybody can be a creator now, if AI makes you a creator or not, even there is a legal debate around this.
And it's
super interesting. So yeah,
I mean, the economy is organized around assigning authorship to the creation of value, and that mechanism is right now broken. So we need to clarify who is the owner, who is the creator.
Yeah, I was teaching in the Colegio de Abogados, the law school, this Saturday, talking about this. Don't think that they have the answers. Because, and you have to understand that one thing is Europe with a super regulation about everything that we regulate before it happens. So that kills innovation because you have to regulate in advance. And this is how we do things here. You have United States where you push forward and then you will regulate after. And you have Asia where you don't care about the regulation. It's like you go ahead and at some point we will see what we do. So in creativity, imagine. Because now it's not only this debate, it's what is going to happen with this debate in different parts of the world with different speeds, different velocities of what's going on with this issue. And that is going to affect the industry, even the culture.
Can we specify what part of creativity would you say that this technology might disrupt? I mean, if the creativity was a moat on the past for this
you have two parts of creativity. The first part of creativity is the physical creation.
Okay.
When you have to paint or create something, okay? So I don't know if you guys can paint or can draw something. I can't, okay? I'm totally useless with that. But with this technology, when I have to make now a presentation or I have to make whatever, before maybe I have to hire somebody to make my PowerPoint presentation,
right?
Because I'm useless drawing ideas, okay? Now, if I can think the idea, I can paint the idea. I can generate ideas that, wow, it's amazing what I can do with this. So this is like the basic part that if you didn't know how to even compose music, you can compose music. Of course, you're not going to compose music like a composer, okay? But if you have an idea of lyrics, a rhythm, and a style, you can make something like that, okay? So it's not only drawing.
Okay.
So that is the physical part of the creation of a work, okay? And the other part of creativity is this brainstorming process.
The imagination.
Imagination, ideation.
So this ideation and this imagination, this is a debate. I don't know the answer here, but what I see is that maybe you need a team before of people with a lot of ideas, but now you can discuss with AI. If you have the knowledge, because if you know about, I don't know, art, and you know about Picasso, and you know about movies, and you know about music, you have a knowledge database inside of you that is huge, okay? You can have other peers to talk about and discuss, but also you can have a super database, bigger than probably a lot of guys,
okay.
that you can discuss and generate ideas. So that makes your idea less relevant. That is a debate, okay? But what I see is that now you can create campaigns, you can create ideas, you can brainstorm with the AI. So this knowledge that was difficult to get before, now is affordable for a lot of people. And I'm not talking that the people that are using, they don't have the knowledge. I'm talking of people of knowledge with this tool to enhance or magnify this knowledge is different, okay?
All right. And let's try to now evolve to the next part of the conversation, which is what are those leverages that in the advertising industry they are trying to use in order to protect their activities? What would be the competitive advantage that they can leverage in order to be sustainably competitive in the market?
So as you can imagine, this is a revolution for the advertising industry. In fact, the digital media is changing everything in the industry, okay? Because before was TV, radio, newspapers, you know, magazines, was this kind of budget for the campaigns. Now everything is digital, where 50% of the investment is digital. And imagine the cost of make a TV campaign. It's huge. The creativity plus the budget. Media. In digital, you can now create any ad like this, only with AI, and you don't need to even the planning and the strategy. because it's digital. You know, if you have to go to social network, have to go to display, have to go to all the media can be designed by a software. Okay, so in this industry they are changing a lot, because the way that I see this is that the big agencies, they have to start to invest. They had to start invest a lot in strategy, but now the strategy also maybe is not enough. The different value.
So do you think we are entering a phase of permanent vulnerability, or do you think that there is something that might protect the winners?
No, it's permanent vulnerability, and you have to live with that. I don't see now in this industry the way that you can generate a new mode. You have to evolve with the mode, be the first mover, but the problem is that all those campaigns and all those creativities, that it doesn't matter if it was TV or digital media, now can be done for a small agency. And in fact, the big problem here is the adaptability and the speed, because corporate company, big company, is a dinosaur.
So maybe smaller companies can be
exactly.
evolving.
So it's again, it's not only the lake is freezing. It's that the lake is freezing, and when it's defrost, there's no water anymore. So that is what was happening. And of course, everything is about cost also. So this is reducing the cost, and those big advertising companies, they were working with high margins, was super profitable. And now it's not anymore. So they have to generate new modes. And one of the big advantages is the deep knowledge of the client. That is a thing, because you have to understand also the internal situation of the client. That is, an AI is not going to solve that for you.
So maybe that proximity, right, to the client.
Yeah, and here even more important is the trust. Okay. Because you know that there is a crisis on trust on everything now, on values, on people, on what is AI or not. It's not AI. So to make business, there is a big crisis on trust. So the transparency, and someone that is managing and can explain everything and can handle everything and can manage everything, that is a big value for the client, and that is not related to AI. This accountability is a big value now.
Taking it to the area of artificial intelligence, there is a tension between some of the main actors, like for example, OpenAI versus Anthropic. We see that Anthropic is being very transparent, and people are starting to trust it more, and maybe the growing adoption of Anthropic in both corporate and individual settings might be related, as you say, to the trust. How is trust a mode?
Because the trust is not about technology, and now all the modes are being teared down by technology. So trust is not about technology. That is.
I am curious about what you think about this now. That at the end of the day, this is human capital. What is being valued, And at the beginning, you were mentioning, anything can be done in the world of creativity if you said if you have the knowledge, if you have the previous experience, if you have the accountability. Now, if you are trustable for your clients, so maybe that might be for you one of those modes. This idea of at the end of the day, behind that technology, there is someone who knows the basics of what a client needs for this campaign, or knows how to work with other human beings.
Yeah, and before we jump to that, because it's super deep that question, Begoña, there is one thing that AI cannot substitute the human being now. That is the experience. Has a lot of knowledge, but doesn't have the experience. So the older you are, the more experience you have in life. I always say this because you had a breakup, your family, your father, your parents died. There are things, emotional things, that AI cannot understand. And in a conversation with a client, for example, you can read this person. AI is not going to read a person. You have to understand the internal agendas of everybody. The client, of you, your boss, the
For that, you need a broader model, right?
Yeah. So here, this there is we are or my perspective here is that we are going back to a humanism point of view of things. And because the last 20 years, everything was technology, from the 90s, technology, software, technology, that was the motto. No one is going to study philosophy or history because you are going to starve, basically, unless you are a teacher and that's your only option. Now, somebody that study philosophy, if this person that is studying philosophy knows about technology, it's a perfect match. Because the way that this person thinks is going to help a lot of people that were not worried, or because they were busy about other things, they were not worried about thinking about things. So now, for me, this is one of the values, this thinking. So you have to, and I'm talking in advertising industry, but for many others, can work for many other companies, is the way you think now. It's not the way you relate to the technology. So this is a super huge change in society, because we were trained to be in a technical world if you want to succeed in life. Now is how you have to think to success with technology. It's not learn the technology, it's learn how to think. So if the companies start to create this core around thinking, that is going to be a different value for the clients. It doesn't matter the area, the sector, the industry.
I see, that's fascinating. And now we're going to evolve to the last part of the conversation, which is this logic of the decaying modes and the new modes, maybe, like you mentioned adaptability or humanism. How do they apply to the context of higher education? I mean, we are seeing that basically the value propositions of higher education are related to education itself, and we see maybe now education and learning are decoupling, and we also see the networking, the serendipity or the connections as very valuable, and we also see the certification. And we have many entities like iBusiness School, for example, that is trying to be relevant, become relevant in the future. So what do you think we should try to embrace as a new mode, or what traditional modes do you think in the context of the business education no longer make sense?
Yeah. For example, the last part, things that makes no sense. Not in EA, but in many places, okay? Many educations, business schools or universities, we came from a model where you have to memorize because we didn't have access to a lot of knowledge, okay? So your value was your niche knowledge about something, okay? Now you are not protected for that anymore because your specialist knowledge can be overseen by technology. So the content that you had in a business school was the product. That is not the product anymore, because it doesn't matter if you have access to a good content with good teachers because they know a lot of things about their specialty area in business. Why? Because that content, you can access to that content through AI.
It's now abundant, right?
Yeah. So now the way that the things, or this is my point of view, totally personal, the way that this way of teaching has to think is that you don't have to teach about the content, it's about the reasoning. You have to learn how to reason. And that sounds, I don't know, weird, because everybody thinks that they know how to reason. Well, I have doubts all the time about the things that I think about. So I have to be checking all the time facts, I have to brainstorm, and the most important thing is that I have to create a criteria of things. So this criteria is probably one of the most value different proposals that you have as a human being now. The criteria, when to say yes, when to say no, when something is right, when something is not right. Because, for example, in a business, if you have the criteria, you can be responsible of your decisions about what to invest or not invest, or what to automatize or not automatize, because looks like you have to automatize everything now. Oh, AI, we have to automatize this process, this learning process, these files, this database, automatize everything. No, there are things that you don't have to automatize. Why you have to automatize it? Because it's possible. Well, that is possible doesn't mean that is necessary. Right? Yeah. So when you have to discuss with people with this, you enter in this discussion that we save resources, we have to do this, we have to be ahead. Yeah, when nobody is stopping and think about this, and because people are afraid. I'm telling you this. For example, one of my competitive advantage that I realize in companies, because I go to a lot of companies, is that I don't work for anybody. No one is paying me a salary. So they call me like an external, because the people inside, they are afraid to change things. Because if you have to change things, you have to be accountable for that. And there is any mistake, they will be responsible. No one wants to change things if things are working, and no one wants to be responsible of success. The reward of success is not enough for the problem that you have if you fail. So they are not going to change anything. And they are afraid to talk about these kind of issues. It's like, and I love this example that always I see everywhere, the meetings. How many people, if you go to it doesn't matter the company, if you ask, how many of you you think that you are in useless meetings? Everybody says, and if all of you think that you are having a lot of useless meetings, why no one says anything?
So what would be the one recommendation? We give you a magic wand and you can have a new rule or a new mode applied to iBusiness School. What would it be? What would be your recommendation?
My recommendation is try to demystify technology, because technology is a commodity, reasoning is not.
Okay.
So if you can if you can convince people that, I know that this is difficult, that don't worry about AI and don't worry about technology, start to think more about, I don't know, philosophy, story, okay? You will understand how to reason and how to relate to technology and with other peers.
Keep on thinking, pulling a little bit from what you're saying. We have a friend at home that is studying medicine, and he explained how for the 6 early years of the career in medicine, all of the knowledge is shared across all of the students, and then only after the exam that they do they specify into a specific activity. That is a completely different approach to what we do, right? We start from these verticals and then we get the certification. Well, maybe then it would be a good idea to focus on shared understanding, shared knowledge of those skills, and then only later specify on those specific verticals and certificates. I think that could make a lot of sense. So your recommendation would be deepening our thinking capabilities, our critical thinking skills?
Yes, critical thinking, criteria, accountability, and that magic wand that you said is change the mind of the people, the minds, so they don't have to worry about that the things that they think that they are important now, because from my point of view they are not. They are having their wrong focus now, because everybody's focusing on that and technology and how to learn. Doesn't matter if you learn ChatGPT, how to use it. Doesn't matter, because tomorrow there is other thing. Okay, what it matters is the questions. It's not about learning how to prompt. If you know how to think, you learn how to prompt.
And it's interesting because this technology in this educational context is forcing us to put again the focus on the quality of the questions, which I believe was always the purpose of education.
Yeah.
Right? And you started the conversation speaking about how we need to emphasize or further develop the skills that differentiate us from technology, from AI. And again, those skills are human skills. So again, in a curious twist, this hyper-competitive landscape is putting yet again the value on those things that make us more human. So I am especially optimistic also about this reading. I think that was a magnificent interview. Thank you so much for your time, and hope to get to unfold this new field of emergent skills and critical thinking at IE. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Pues ya está.
Bueno, pues a ver qué tal, no sé.
Muy chulo.
Muy chulo, muy chulo.
Bueno, muy corto, ¿eh?
Hemos estado...
Esto da para, da para hacer monográficos de cada cosa.
Da para monográficos.
Vamos,
y
me
vamos
quedo
a ver
yo con-
cuánto alineamiento no conseguimos, porque vamos a ir entrevistando a gente bastante...
Pues
Ah, mira,
mira,
pues oye, ni
así
tan mal,
que-
¿eh?
Está mal, ¿eh? Se ha hecho rápido esto,
Sí,
¿no?
sí.
Se ha hecho corto.